Hello, this is Eddie Barragon, and this is my presentation on pulmonary surfactant and the role that it plays on the physiological functions of the human body. Pulmonary surfactant is a necessary substance that is made up of lipids and proteins that coat the fluid lining of the lungs. Specifically, the area that is known as the alveolar, I believe I said that correctly, surface. Um, the pulmonary surfactant, or lack thereof, is a major health issue that often disproportionately affects newborn babies or neonates, and this could lead to a condition called respiratory distress syndrome. Um, the main function of the surfactant is something I'll get into a little bit later, but basically right now I just want to touch that it is basically a protein or nutrient-rich lining of the internal cavities of our lungs that is necessary for all adults and especially newborns and especially babies in general um, to maintain proper breathing apparatus. So the main functions of the pulmonary surfactant, it is to help in the incremental increase in pulmonary compliance, as in the proper breathing modes of the lungs, prevent the collapse of the atriums or alveoli. Those are the minuscule sacs of contractile uh, pumps basically within the lungs that contract and retract to allow air to be pushed and moved in and oxygenate the surrounding cardiovascular system. It also is used to facilitate the recruitment of airways that have happened to collapse. Um, this happens often, whether or not our lungs collapse, or if we're having trouble breathing, or if we have a slight, forceful blow that knocks us off our feet, knocks the wind out of us. These are responsible for maintaining the structural integrity of our lungs that allows them to have that quality of contracting and retracting. This is accomplished by the basic, physics principle of creating surface tension. The fluid within it of itself um, creates a sort of force that allows the surrounding material to maintain its shape and to manipulate its shape as well. Um, in addition to being a protein and nutrient-rich substance that does aid in the stimulation of our lungs. So that is the main function of the pulmonary surfactant, and as demonstrated in the illustration here, you can see the linings and the arteries that surround it, and how they play a role in transporting oxygen to the surrounding cardiovascular system as well. So, yes, that is the general purpose. I want to cover quite a bit more ground into the issue of respiratory distress syndrome. It's not a pleasant or um, really easy thing to discuss, but when newborns are born with small or relatively undeveloped lungs, or even severely undeveloped lungs, oftentimes there is a situation where they suffer from a condition known as respiratory distress syndrome. In this situation, newborns are given a type of treatment called surfactant replacement therapy. What that entails is basically a two-way tubular system of the baby being intubated vocally, orally, and also rectally. And this allows surfactant to be pumped into the newborn's lungs, and to also allow the newborn to basically be able to breathe and have its lungs. I guess a good analogy would be like training wheels function effectively, which is not something they would be able to otherwise do on their own, and clearly that would be a life-threatening situation for the baby, especially newborn babies in NICU. Now, surfactant replacement therapy has been proven safe and effective for many years now. The risks associated with it are drastically lower than the risks associated with not implementing it in time or not using it to treat a severe case of respiratory distress syndrome. But it is invasive. It is something that isn't necessarily comfortable, even for a newborn without much sense of what they may or may not find comfortable, right? But new research, there has been a lot of studies, there has been a lot of technological advancements that have allowed for the creation of new therapies that maybe would be drastically less invasive. A good example would be one where the baby's still intubated, but the tube is a lot smaller and a lot more perforated. And this is they can have it in their mouth, they can have it directly in their bodies, and they may not feel it anywhere near as much. There's another example too where excuse me, where the surfactant can be replaced directly orally in a liquid substance. That's a long ways off, but yeah, the point is that there's a lot of research going on and improving the technology to make it more, not necessarily safer, because there are no inherent associated risks, right? But to make it less invasive, less uncomfortable, less of a concern for parents, and less of a difficult experience for the newborn. And I shouldn't say there's no associated risks. Any invasive type of props being used, even in a medical capacity, I mean, it's not a good experience even for a newborn. But it is what it is. It's life-saving and it's necessary. And as the years go by, improvements will be made, if at least incrementally. So now that I've covered some of the physiological aspects of pulmonary surfactant, the functions and roles that it plays in maintaining health and breathing health in a breathing apparatus, respiratory distress syndrome in neonates and the treatments available for that, I just want to conclude and go over the key points. It's necessary for the well-being of our lungs and the maintaining of our overall homeostasis. That's the key takeaway. Everything's within the function and the stated goal of maintaining homeostasis. Surfactant replacement therapy, it has saved the lives of countless newborns who may not otherwise be here, regardless of its invasive nature or its unpleasant aesthetics. It is a necessary and incredibly useful technology, and I think understanding and appreciating it is something that a lot of parents need to do, regardless of how scary it looks. But I understand. As technology continues to advance, new treatments are becoming readily more available, and in the future things will improve incrementally. There's going to be new tubes, there's going to be new methodologies of administering the surfactant. There's going to be easier ways to insert it into the baby. There's a variety of ways to go about this, and it's a fascinating subject, really. Like, I think anyone who is even passively interested in human physiology or medical issues regarding neonates would be very well pressed to learn as much as they can about this particular issue. because it is important, and because it does provide a valuable learning opportunity for how something like the concept of surface tension is able to provide such an important function for our bodies, and then, you know, just how much that affects our well-being and the functioning state of us overall. So yeah, that's been my presentation. I hope you enjoyed my brief foray into this subject and into this topic. And yeah, thank you. This has been Eddie Barragon.